everyone, and welcome to another Bubble Talk. I hope you guys had an amazing week and, of course, another amazing weekend. Today, I am beginning with my bubble tea of the day. I hope you guys have your drinks with you. I see a lot of you have your like lemon waters, your sky juices. Those in Malaysia have sky juice, and other people have just water is life. Yay! Here I have my Earl Grey milk tea with herbal jelly and zero sugar, and it's very, very good. All right, so how you guys been doing? I hope you guys had an amazing week. Today we're going to talk about something super important, which is how to live a balanced life. Okay, now, before I get into that, I have to do my shout-outs, right? People who come more than 10 minutes earlier on YouTube, we have Hengshil, Gabriel, Yanlan, and Redleaf. I'm not sure who Redleaf is. Who's Redleaf, right? Redleaf seems like a friend of Yanlan's, right? And also on Facebook is no one. No one came 10 minutes early on Facebook. It seems like everything is happening on YouTube. Either way. And also, we have our winner from last week enjoying her coffee in Korea. It is Ichigo. Come take a look at Ichigo drinking her amazing coffee. Oh, it looks like bubble tea. No, it is coffee. It is an iced latte. Cool. So we also have someone else from the Philippines, but they didn't give their picture yet, but we'll probably get it for next week. And we're going to give some more bubble tea away today. All right. So what should we do? Here we are on Espresso with Sky YouTube channel, and I hope that you guys will come on and just like and comment all the different videos that we have. Let's start off with today's topic of the day, which is how to live a balanced life. Very, very important thing. A lot of people are thinking about this, okay? Just make sure that my timer's on, right? So here we go. So the first things first is what? Is one thing about everyone when they come through life is there's what you call the busyness of life, right? Not business, the busyness, right? Everyone is so busy. And have you guys ever had that response? You know, when someone asks you the question, how are you? When someone says, hey, how are you? And a lot of times we answer, man, I'm so busy, too busy, no time. Oh, wow, I'm so tired because I'm so busy. And it's like, for some reason, like we have this answer, and it seems like a good answer. Remember, you know, when you say, hey, I'm busy, what do people usually respond? That's good. Or when someone says to you, hey, how you doing? Hey, oh man, I'm so busy. And we say, that's great. And we're kind of telling people it's a great thing to be busy. So our schedule is packed. It's so packed that sometimes we even forget things. Oh, I forgot this and I forgot this. We double schedule things, you know, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so busy. And then by the time we get home, we're exhausted. By the time we get home, you want to do nothing. And then all we do is sit on the couch, watch Netflix, we watch an entire series by ourselves, or we surf the internet for hours and hours and hours, right? There's no real goal. No real goal, but it's just so busy, okay? So, when you talk to people, something that's kind of interesting with people is this. When you talk to people, doesn't it feel good to say, man, I was so busy today. I was so busy this week. Or if someone says, man, I was so busy, and we look at them and we admire them. We admire them because they're even busier than us, and we're like, wow, that's so amazing, you're so busy. And what happens is, at the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, or even when it's time for the New Year's, right? We think at the end of the year, do you feel like you were successful because you were so busy? Do you feel like, oh, my life, man, this makes my life worthwhile. Just that busyness was so amazing. Or do you kind of wish you had more time? Or you thought to yourself, man, the things I could have done if I had a little bit more time. I could have done the things that I wanted to do. Or sometimes people just feel tired. They're just straight up tired. They feel nothing meaningful happened. They wonder, what did I do for the last year? What did I do for the last week, the last month, for this entire day? And what happens is it leads us to an even more busier life the next year. So the question I bring to you guys right now is this. Why do people even say, oh, why do people want a balanced life? Like, where does this term actually come from? Why would the term of balanced life actually come into the picture? Like, why would we even say balanced life? Okay? So let's first take a look at a verse that I really think about a lot. In Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 23. Great verse. And this is from a very wise king named Solomon. And he says, all their days their work is grief and pain, Even at night, their minds do not rest. This too is meaningless, right? So it's kind of like he's living that life. It's so busy, but all through, think about this. The work that you do, the things that you're doing each and every day, grief and pain and suffering, and it says what? Even at night, your minds don't rest, but it keeps thinking about all the things you have to do. Basically, what happens is we're consumed with one thing, right? And when you're consumed with one thing, what happens? Then you only become successful in that one thing. But the things that suffer are the other parts of your life. Like, for instance, relationship with family, relationship with friends, right? Your hobbies, or, just other different things, your personal life, your health. So many other things are suffering. And what we see is it's an imbalanced life. Why? Because only one thing's doing well and the rest of it is just terrible. Oh, I don't want to work. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I'm too tired. And because we see only one thing doing well and other things are not, it's not balanced. And this is why people start saying, man, I want a balanced life. So the question I give to you is this: is it worth it? Like, is it really worth it? Like, let's just pretend work is the thing you focus so much on. You work 8 hours a day, sometimes 9, sometimes 10, plus your hours of traveling to work is another hour, hour and a half. And sometimes on weekends, you're still working. It's just work, 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 work. But all your other areas with your family, your friends, your health, all these other different things, they're suffering. My question is it worth it? Got a great job, get a lot of money, but in the end, you push away everyone else and you end up alone. All your relationships suffer. And my question is it worth it? And the answer most of us are going to say is probably not. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you about 3 different things. 3 things so that are going to help you to understand, right? 3 things that are going to help you to balance your life a lot better, right? This is not just for work. It's for school, work, family, social life, health, all these things together. I want to think about what is a real balanced life. And the first thing I want to talk to you today is, the first advice I give to you today is, you have to define what success is to you, right? What is success to you? And you have to really think about this carefully. This is not something you just say, oh, success is this. It's not this. You have to think to yourself, what is success really? Because if you look at the world, what's the norm? What's the most normal thinking about success? It is whoever has the most money and whoever has the most materials is the winner, and they're the most successful people. And that's why we always talk about the people who have the most money, or who have the nicest cars, or who are the most famous people on YouTube or on Instagram. The people living that lifestyle, and everyone looks at it and says, oh my gosh, I wish I had that car. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. Now, the question I give to you is, if you see someone who has only got tons of money and materials, the question is that person successful? But think about it carefully, because in most cases, when you see that person, you're like, wow, they're so successful. Wow, I wish I had that. And then this envy in our heart grows for them. Like, oh, I wish I was them. What we're doing is, we are actually defining what success is to us by only one thing of life, right? Money and materialism. And if you think about this, you can have people that are super, super rich, have all the different things, but they have terrible relationships with their family, with their wife, their husbands, and their children. Or even people at work, no one likes them. So would you consider that successful? Or would you say, no, none of that matters. As long as they got money, as long as they have that car and that house, they're successful. And the question you have to think to yourself is that really success? So I'm going to do something that we haven't done before. I'm going to give you an exercise, okay? I'm going to give you an exercise to do, just to sit at home to think about this for your, what is success to you, okay? So the question I give to you, and I want you to write this down on a piece of paper, is what does a successful life look like, right? What does a successful life look like? That's what I want. That's the question. And what I want you to do is, I don't want you to just sit there and say that, well, I have this, no. I want you to think about multiple areas of your life. Career. Career is not money. Career is career. What are you doing? What does it mean to have a successful career? Is a successful career doing something you absolutely hate, but you make a lot of money? No, it's not about the money. It's just about career, what you're doing. I want you to think about, what does a successful life look like when it comes to your career, how much money you make, what you have, your faith, your emotional state, your relationships with your friends and family, your schooling. I want you to take a look at them at all multiple different levels. Why? Because success is not measured only by one aspect. It's measured by multiple things, right? You see, when you look at all these things like career, money, family, friends, faith, materials, and school, like all these things, if you look at these 6, 7 things, the interesting thing is they're all fighting for your attention. All of them are. And what is the only way for them to be balanced? Well, let me tell you why it's not balanced. It's not balanced because let's pretend that all of them are, there's that cool story. There's that cool story. I don't even know if it's real or not, but it's a legend of like the native Indians, like the Cherokee. One chief once said, oh, inside my heart, inside me, I have 2 wolves, and one is black and one is white. So which one's going to win? And the answer is whoever you feed the most. Whichever wolf you feed the most is the one that's going to be stronger. And in the same way too, when you look at these 6 or 7 different parts of your life, which one's going to be successful, which one's going to be actually a success, are the ones you feed. Which means if you only feed the financial part, then the financial part will be successful, but everything else will suffer. You have to feed every single part of it. That's what a balanced life is. You can't just wish on it. You have to actually feed all these different parts for them to become successful or for them to become healthy more than anything else. The one advice I give to you is also right back to the King Solomon. Right? Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 16 basically says, do not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Why destroy yourself? Which means what? Even when it comes to things like righteousness and like wisdom, you don't be excessive in it. Why? Because if you're too excessive in one thing, you're missing pieces of other things. You have to, don't be excessive, but you have to feed all these parts. Okay? So that's the first thing is, define what success is. And I want you guys to try that exercise at home. Okay? What does a successful life look like to you? Okay? And then you can kind of see what's really important to you. The second thing I want to talk about today, the second advice I give to you is, don't just say it, schedule it. Don't just say, oh, I need to live a more balanced life. Don't just say, oh, I should be more balanced. Don't just say, oh, I should talk to my friends more. Don't just say, I should talk to my mom more. Don't just say, oh, I should do this more or that more or this more. I should exercise. We've heard that one too much, right? We should exercise more. Ooh, I shouldn't drink that much bubble tea. Right? We have all these different things that we say, oh, I should do this more, right? And what happens is we just kind of say it and we don't take it seriously. And what I'm telling you guys today is you got to schedule it. Like seriously, you have to schedule it, right? After you make what a successful life looks like and you look at all the parts that are really important to you, you have to schedule in the feeding of these different wolves, right? You have to feed the wolf of your family, right? Spend time with them. You have to feed the wolf of your relationships, of your health, right? Of your work. All these things need to be fed, but then you're not going to, like, you know what people usually do? Like, this is what happens when it comes to church too, and this is something that's kind of crazy, like, because I used to do this before, is when someone says, hey, like, oh, I'm really struggling with this, and you know what we say to people? Like, like in church, we're like, pray for you. You don't schedule it. It's just, I'll pray for you. You don't even write it down, so you don't even remember praying for them. You don't remember, right? The best thing you do is the moment someone says, pray for me, just pray for them right there, right? Or someone's on texting you, I'm going to pray for you right now, right? And even if you're like at work, pray for them, just like look at God. Well, obviously, he's around, he's everywhere. Okay, either way, just like, God, even if your eyes are open, God, please be with this person is struggling, right? Because prayer is not just when you close your eyes, right? But do it on the spot or write it down. There's so many times when people say, I'll pray for you, but they don't pray for you. So schedule it, write it down, right? Schedule what's important and don't change it. Don't change it, right? What I'm saying here is, it's about integrity. Integrity is when people look at you, you do what you say. Let's look at what King Solomon says again here, okay? Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 6. Don't let your mouth lead you to sin. Oh, right? Don't let your mouth lead you to sin. Do not protest to the temple messenger saying, my vow, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to say that. No, right? If you say it, we got to be people that hold to our integrity, right? Even if we're late, even if it doesn't work out then, you got to hold to it. Which means if you schedule something, you got to have integrity to that schedule. Keep your word. right? Because the one thing is, if you keep breaking promises, what happens next is people don't trust you. And if people don't trust you, it's like those movies you see with those deadbeat dads, like their work is more important than their family, and they promise to take Timmy to the baseball game, but they always forget because of work. I promised to take Timothy, oh, Timmy, I was supposed to go visit you this weekend, but you forget, right? Yeah, that's what life is. That's what actually happens. You have to hold to what you have, which means when you schedule it, hold to your schedule. Don't just keep changing around, because the moment you keep changing stuff, what happens? If you keep changing things around, then the schedule kind of becomes so loose that you'll never follow your schedule. Now, third and final thing. Okay, so in life we schedule certain things. Like number one is you schedule work, and then you schedule play, and then what else? Like what? Is there anything else more than work and play? And the answer is not really. When you look at generally speaking, work and play are the two major things that we have. And what I'm telling you guys is when it comes to play, don't just find empty time to play, actually schedule it. Schedule your vacations so you look forward to it. Schedule your time and the things that you're going to do. Schedule work and play. Okay? I'm dead serious about this. Schedule it down. Now, the reason I'm bringing the third part about this is there are some people who schedule work and play. However, they still feel it's not enough. They still feel kind of empty. They still feel it's kind of missed. Haven't you, like honestly, this has happened to me already like this year. Sometimes you schedule a vacation or a break, but when you get back, you felt like you didn't go on vacation. It's crazy. Like you're like, what? I spent 6 days and I'm still tired and my mind is blah, blah. And you're like, why the heck? I went on vacation and I still feel like I didn't go on vacation. Like a lot of people go through that, right? Why? Because you're missing the third piece. What's the third piece, right? So I'm going to give you a parable of what your work and play is like. Your experiences in life is like a puzzle, okay? So when you have a puzzle, what happens is you have a puzzle with like 10,000 pieces, and then they're all different shapes and sizes, and what happens is all the work experience and all the play experiences are pieces of the puzzle, right? So that's what work and play is. So the hardest part is this. When you have the puzzle, like experiences in life are going to come no matter what. Work and play, they all come together, right? But what's the hardest part about the puzzle? Well, it's called a puzzle because you got to put it together. And the third thing I want to talk to you about today is, it is about putting it together, which means this third thing I'm going to call is decompress. Okay? Decompress. Now, what the heck does that mean? Decompress is a third thing, which means that there's spaces in the day between your work, between your play, between your projects, even in a single day, like before you, when you wake up in the morning or at night or sometime during the day, you need a time of decompression. What does that mean? It is to look at the things that you've done, reflect on them, just having a time to just let everything kind of fit into place. Decompression is you have that extra time that you're able to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Because what good is life if life is just a bunch of experiences, but you can never put it together? The third thing, and I think this is one of the most important things you have to think about, is don't just schedule, like pack your schedule every day, work, play, work, play, I got no time. You're eating, you're basically standing up before you eat and you're going out. You're eating in your car, you're drinking in your car, and you don't even have time to sit in a cafe to even drink the coffee. You're just you're rushing with it. You know what, I'll tell you this because I'm someone who loves coffee. There's a difference between coffee in a paper cup and a coffee in a mug. There's a huge difference. There's a difference of eating and drinking a cup and driving. Why? Because you can't savor the taste of coffee, the experience. There's an experience. Sometimes you just got to sit in the cafe, spend 10 minutes, just drink your coffee in silence, right? Think about what you're going through, right? One of the hard things is a lot of time there's work and play, but you don't have a time of decompression. Right? And if you look at, like, for instance, decompression is like, even at work, you're going to have a time when you have this big project. At the end of the project, you have to debrief, right? Look at everything you went through and kind of figure it out, right? In the same way, too, even just in your day, you need some time to decompress. Sometimes you need it in the morning to think about the day before. Sometimes you need it at night to think about the day you just went through. But there's a lot of different little times you should have in the day to decompress. And it helps you a lot. Why? When you go one after the other, schedule after schedule after schedule, and you don't decompress, you don't think about what happened, you don't have time to just kind of let loose, what happens is you get so wound up and so tight that what happens? Eventually, it snaps. And that's when you have burnout. That's when you don't want to do anything. Haven't you got to that point where you have no desire to do anything at all? You don't care if it's work or play. You want to do nothing. And you aimlessly look at the TV. You're not even watching, but it's just on. You need to decompress. And there are a couple things you can do during the day that can help you out with this decompression. For example, number one is, this is a really, really big one. Because it's like mindfulness, very thought-provoking, and it calms you down, which is prayer or meditation. Like you need some time to sit down and just decompress. What did I just go through? Or what have I been going through? Right? Haven't you guys, like honestly, haven't you guys ever had this before where you're so wound up, you have so many things in your heart, and then you finally get to sit down with someone and you vomit all these words out, everything you went through for the last like 10 years, and then at the end of it, you feel better? Like, oh, okay, wow, the person hasn't said a single word to you, but since after you said everything, you're like, I feel better. You didn't have to do that. You could have just decompressed every single day, little piece by piece. Number one is prayer meditation is very, very good for you. Second one is take a walk. Even if it's in your company, if you're working or if you're at school, take a walk around the school. Take a walk around your business office here. Just take a quick walk. I'm dead serious. It helps you to decompress. A third one is, like I talk about coffee. If you get a coffee, don't take everything for takeout. Sometimes you just gotta sit in. Sit down and enjoy the cup of coffee. It might take, 10 minutes. Enjoy it and then go. Another one is, sometimes you're so used to just eating in this busy cafeteria, all these people are walking around. Sometimes you just gotta go outside, have some food outside somewhere. Just be in nature or the concrete jungle, whatever it is, and just kind of relax. And one thing I do think is a very, very good one is, before you sleep, do not, I repeat this, do not surf the internet or social media. Instead, I'm telling you this by research, read a book. Reading a book actually helps you to decompress. Just read a book, right? It's very focused. It's just words, and not all these things like firing, all these pictures and images firing at you. Just read a book. And what's going to happen is, if you do this, what the time of decompression does, it helps you to integrate work and play together, because you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and it allows you to digest what's going on, and it increases your awareness, gives you better balance, and actually it's proven to give you better relationships with the people around you, right? So this last verse I give to you is from Proverbs, also from Solomon. Chapter 14, verse 15 says, "The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thoughts to their steps." What does that mean? It basically means that the simple believe anything, but the prudent gives thought, which means it takes time. You have to think about it. You think about the steps you're about to take. You think about the steps you just took. Got to kind of relax, decompress what just happened, and then once you understand these things a little bit better, you can move forward a lot better instead of just pushing forward. That's why some people don't really have vacations. They're still thinking about their work. They're still thinking about a lot of different other things. You got to kind of unplug for a bit, right? Leave spaces in your everyday life to decompress, okay? I'm serious. You got to leave some spaces in your day to decompress. After you finish work, go get a coffee, go get something to decompress, right? When the day is finished, don't just go to sleep, because sometimes, haven't you ever had it when you're going to sleep but you can't sleep, insomnia, because you have like 10,000 thoughts going through your mind? Well, that doesn't mean turn on the computer and look at the internet. You're just going to have 10,000 more thoughts. Get a book, read it, right? Or pray, meditate. Okay, what did I do this day? And you want to decompress. Right? And this is something very, very healthy for a lot of people. So I hope you guys really understood today's talk about a balanced life. I'm not going to do what other people do on the internet, right? It's kind of more like it's in your head, right? A lot of different things. I want you guys to think a little bit more clearly. I want you guys, like we said today, define what success is to you, and you have to act on what you think success is. schedule it, but also make sure you put in your time so you can decompress. And that's going to be a very important part for you so you can understand life much better. All right? So I hope you guys enjoyed today's talk of how to live a balanced life. And those of you who are over there on Facebook, come over to YouTube, because on YouTube we have every single bubble talk there has ever been is on that channel. It's called Espresso with Sky. We're going to put that into the description in the chat rooms for you guys. Also, those of you guys who want to support this ministry, we're on Patreon. So we'll put that link in there too for those who want to support this. And also, this Saturday, we're going to, at 1 p.m., we're going to also have those of you interested in Bible study. We have Bible studies every Saturday at 1 p.m. Go sign up for that too. And of course, by the end of today's question and answer, we're going to give you a question, and in that question, the winners will get some bubble teas. Yay! All right, so I'm going to give you some time so that you guys can write some, people have already been writing questions, I guess. So I want you guys to write some questions down and give you guys about 3 to 4 seconds. All right, write your questions down about today. All right, okay. So let's look at today's question, okay? Today's question, first one comes from Ewen. Ewen in KL. It's difficult to think about what a successful life looks like. How would I begin? Okay, so we're talking about the exercise now, right? And the exercise is, what does a successful life look like, right? Looking at like 6 to 7 different categories or what's most important to you. And each of them are fighting for your attention, but it says it's difficult. Well, what does a successful life look like, and how would I begin this exercise, right? Well, one thing that's going to be true in your life is the important things in your life are going to switch and change with time, right? So look at several different things. Like when you're single, you know, like family, you don't have as much. Because when you get married, you have a wife and you have kids or a husband, whatever it is, right? But when you're single, it's going to be different. Your priorities are different too. And when you are married, it's different. When you have children, it's different. So there's different stages of your life. I want you guys to just start with right now, what you feel right now. Because you need to start with something, right? One of the things that I heard from my English teacher. And my English teacher, it was very, very smart. It's a very life-changing comment they made to me. And you know, a lot of times you're trying to write a story, and you're like, oh, I don't know what to write. And they said, write anything. I'm like, what? Just write anything. I was like, it's going to be terrible. It says, it's better to have something written down to talk about with me than to have nothing at all. There's nothing to look at. Well, so my thing to you is, looking for that successful life, start with something. Start looking at these first things that come to mind, right? And that might not be the actual answer, but write the first thing that comes to your mind in all those categories. And then after that, what do? Then you can start thinking about it a little bit more and say, oh, do I really like that? Which one do I think, right? So it's difficult to think about it, but start with right now, your stage in life right now, the things that you really, really feel and want, right? And it might not be the right answer, but you need something first so you can think about that. Is this really it, okay? So thank you, Ewen from KL. So start with something. It's better to have something to discuss in your mind than having nothing at all, right? Next one is Karina. Karina in PJ. And Karina in PJ says, is there really enough time to balance life? It seems that there's not enough time to be successful at each aspect. Great question. Okay, so this is why you're doing the exercise. So what's happening is there enough time for everything? And the answer is no. There's not enough time to do it the way that you would want for every single thing if it was individually done. For instance, relationship with your children, how much easier would it be if that was the only thing you were doing? It'd be so easy because it's the only thing you need to do. However, if you have 5 to 6 different things that you're trying to manage in your life, what does that mean? Or let's just say down to 3. Let's just say health, work, and entertainment. Let's just say it's those 3 things, right? Even if it's just 3 things, there's not enough time to do everything you want, and that's why you look at those 3 things and you have to balance. Meaning, I only have this much time, so how much will I spend for this? How much will I spend for this? And how much will I spend for this, right? Because obviously, it doesn't make sense to have entertainment like you work. Like you can't have entertainment 8 hours a day like you work. It just doesn't make any sense. You're not contributing to society. You're not making any money, right? So you want to look at those different things that are really important to you, and you have to balance, which means that if I only have this much time, this much is given here, this much is given here, and this much is given here. But you have to give to all of them. You can't just feed only one of the wolves, okay? So that's why you're trying to look for all these. You won't have enough time for all of them, right? So that's why you have to look at it and balance it. Let's go to the next one. All the way in Indonesia. Ready. Ready in Indonesia. Oh, the name is actually Ready. So that's the red leaf, I'm assuming. Sometimes I have really big work projects that take a lot of time and I can't really balance the other parts. How would I deal with this situation? Okay, so there are going to be certain special times in your life. Like for instance, you have a big work project, which means you're going to have to put more of your time into that. The only difference is you have to already know, right? So you're knowing that, oh my gosh, this is going to take a lot of my time, which means that all your, the certain times you don't have, because it is really important, you have to push it to a little bit later. But then after it's done, you need to decompress. You need to go on a little bit longer vacation. You need to kind of get yourself out of that situation, right? There are going to be these times in life, and that's normal. It is normal that sometimes you have finals coming along the way, and you are going to have to sacrifice certain things because it's finals time, because of that, right? But it doesn't mean you completely throw everything away. But at the end of the finals, you want to have more time, right? To put aside for, I got to get, I got to rest my body, got to become more healthy. So, it's part of the act of balancing, right? Because there are times that you do need to worry more about your health, because what if your doctor says, you're obese or you have diabetes? You got to take care of your body a lot more. The things that you eat, how much exercise you do, it's much more bigger of a concern, right? So, yeah, when we're looking at the most ideal way, it's just like boom, boom, boom. 5 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, and that's so easy, right? But in life, we're going to have those things that are going to pop up like emergencies. And that's a normal part of life. But it doesn't mean you completely throw away everything else, or you push everything to the end where you can have a little bit longer break after that really big push, okay? Let's go to Hannah in Japan. Decompressing is a cool idea, but how to decompress effectively when outside factors like people, bosses always get in the way? Well, here's the thing. It doesn't get in the way if you're, you have to think about this very carefully. Bosses and people only get in the way if you let them into that area. Example, for instance, if you have nowhere to go, like say you're in your work, and you take a walk around your business, just to take a quick walk, right? And what you can do is, you can take a quick walk and you can come back. And someone might bother you along the way, but you need to take that walk, right? And you're like, well, but what if people bother me? Well, then sometimes that time of decompressing, it doesn't have to happen during work. It can happen after work. If it happens after work and your boss calls you, guess what? You don't have to answer. You can call them back. Let yourself decompress first. Take that 30 minutes out, decompress, and then turn your phone off, and then after that, you can call those people back and say, hey, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I was doing something, right? Sometimes your decompression time could be in the morning, early morning. Sometimes decompression can be later at night when you can look at the entire day, right? There's lots of different ways you can do it. If it's not possible in a certain situation, then you have to figure out when is the best time to do decompression, right? Do it effectively. Yes, there are outside factors, and that's why you want to move your decompression times to different places. And a lot of the times it's better when it's at night, when everyone's sleeping, or it could be not at night, but it could be early in the morning, right? And those are good times too for decompression, right? And then, you'll have a decompression time, go get a coffee, sit in the cafe for 10 minutes, and then go back upstairs. Or some people have to. I know some people that go to the bathroom, they go into the stall. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they decompress, they just sit down, decompress, then they leave and they go back to work. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, a lot of wise ways you can do it. Cool. All right. Thank you, Hannah in Japan. Let's move to Jennifer in Korea. Jennifer in Korea says, how can I enjoy reading a Bible? Are there any tips you have? And the answer is, wow, that's interesting, because I love reading the Bible. It's so enjoyable. No, I'm just kidding. Well, no, I'm not kidding that it's not enjoyable. What I'm saying is, say for instance, if it's the Bible, if it's some parts of the Bible are very difficult. I understand this. If you get into Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers, right? It's so hard. But the ones that are really fun to read are stories. Yeah, stories are really, really fun, right? So you can start off with a book in Genesis, or the New Testament's really good too. But for the Bible, I would have to say that you can read multiple books at the same time. So for instance, read the Bible for 10 minutes. You don't have to do it for a long time, right? And then, you should have another book too. Like, what if you have another book that is explaining parts of the Bible? Or another book that's just randomly something else, right? There's lots of things that we can read, or things that can help us to read the Bible too. Like, one of the things I like to do is to look at the history behind the stories, or I like to look at, oh, this is where it comes from, and it gives me a much better idea of what I'm reading. So a lot of times we read stuff we have no idea about, and that's why it's not interesting. So sometimes it's good to, like, let's just say today I'm going to read the story of Cain and Abel, and go out and check out what's the background of that story of Cain and Abel. And after you know the background, then you learn it. It's much more fun, right? The more knowledge you have, the more fun it becomes. But yeah, I do suggest you read multiple books, not just one. Read multiple books, okay? Thank you, Jennifer in Korea. Let's go to, they have a question, right? I got a question for you guys. Before my last question, I think I have 1 or 2 questions left, but I'm going to give you the question first for the bubble tea. So everyone get ready, okay? This is going to be a question that some of you may know. And we're going to choose, out of the people who get the right answer, we're going to choose either the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, it could be the first, randomly choose the winner, okay? So you guys get one answer. One answer. Only one right once. So here's a question before I go into my last question. This is the question for the bubble tea, okay? The question is, what is my shoe size? And don't write it yet. Don't write it down. It's either 10, 11, or 12. This is American size, not UK. It's American size, 10, 11, or 12. You get one answer. Go ahead and write them down. And by the end of this last question, we're going to choose 2 winners, right, from Facebook and YouTube, all right? So it's either 10, 11, or 12, okay? So you can write that down since it's the last question anyways. All right, so let's go to the last question of tonight. And today's last question comes from Junda, okay? What's on the screen right now? There you go. The question is from Junda, right? And he's in Malaysia, and the question is, I have set my schedule, but I can't keep it up. What should I do? Okay? So usually when you can't keep your schedule, there's 2 reasons. Number one is, for instance, your schedule is too ambitious. Too ambitious means that, like, you're like this, okay, I'm going to wake up at 3:30, and then I'm going to do this and do my homework, and then at 5, I'm going to eat breakfast, and then at 5:30, I'm going to go exercise, and then at 7:30, I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to study until 11, where I have my class, and then at 12:30, I'm going to eat lunch, and then at 2 p.m., and it's just like, right? What I want you to do is, I want you to set your schedule, right? In the beginning, just set the most important parts, the things that you think for sure, 100% you have to do. 100% you have to do this one, right? And then give yourself a little bit more free time, just in case it has to move around a little bit, right? And that's one thing. So it could be that your schedule is too ambitious. The second one is that you're not very responsible. And if you're not responsible, it's better to have someone to do it with. Right? It's better to have someone to check on you, right? It's better to, you need someone to hold you accountable. Like, for instance, if it's exercising, right? Like, you can't have someone checking your everyday schedule, but let's just say it's exercising, then you should go exercise with someone every day at a certain time. And then you'll have someone to do it together with, and you'll keep the schedule much easier. And if it comes to doing something else, like say studying, you have a friend you study with, and you go and you study together. That means for different parts of your life, you have people that are holding you accountable for it, okay? So it's usually, if it's too ambitious, the schedule's too crazy. And the second one is you're not quite responsible enough to keep it, right? And you need someone to help you on different areas. Exercise, your faith, your career, right? Church, or school, right? Studying, relationships. These are all things that you might need someone to help you and hold you accountable. Or, like I would say, it's good to have a mentor. Having a mentor is really, really good too. Okay, cool. So that means that this ends the Q&A, which means, what does that mean? It means that we're going to get into who are the winners of today's bubble teas. And we're going to pick 2 winners, okay? The winner of today's bubble teas are... we're going to pick the person who got the 4th person who got the number right, okay? So it's number 4. The answer is My shoe size is 12. It's an American 12. And we're going to pick the fourth answer, the fourth 12th answer. Okay, whoever picks 12, the fourth one. So, the winners of today is going to be, did Su Chung answer too? Oh my gosh. All right, who are the winners? Please post them up. The winners of today's bubble teas are, we did this so we could be faster, girls. And the winners are, yeah, on Facebook we have Jean Ing and Wei Wei on YouTube. So please send us an email, espressowithsky@gmail.com, to claim your drinks. Just email that and then tell them that you won. We're looking for Jean and Wei Wei. So come and get your free bubble teas. And thank you so much for joining us today. Everyone, I hope you had a great time. How to live a balanced life. If you have any questions, you can just keep writing. Remember, don't forget to write in my my YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. And you can comment in there, oh, I have a question here, okay? So like, comment, do everything that you can. And we'll see you guys again next week. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Goodbye. See you.